How's it going? This video is going to serve as pretty much a comprehensive guide for Jacksonville. I'm going to tell you pretty much everything that I feel like you need to know, a bunch of mistakes that I see people make, some mistakes that I made, some things that I wish I would have done when I moved to Jacksonville, and just some things I feel like you should know in general before moving here. My name is Travis Kopf. I'm a local veteran realtor here in Jacksonville, Florida. I would love to help you with your move if you're considering coming. I offer a free relocation guide for Jacksonville. The description below, all you have to do is enter your email so I can shoot that to you. I also offer my resume, which just tells you a little bit about myself and how I do business, but that's a long enough intro. Let's jump right into it. The first thing we're going to talk about is just the breakdown of Jacksonville. So how people are going to talk to you about Jacksonville and just how it looks over on a map. So we're going to go to my map here and we'll switch positions on the video. So first we're going to talk about the west side. This is where NAS Jax is, Orange Park, Oakleaf is where I live. So I live like in this area over here. Very nice area. I enjoyed a lot. The schools over here are good. Oakleaf High School is really nice. I actually used to be a teacher when I first got out of the military. That was my job, my career path. And anyway, so west side is really cool. Houses are a little bit older, but a lot of military family here. And then we'll also talk about, this is going to be Clay County here. So it's going to be Middleburg, Fleming Islands. I'm going to talk a little bit about that later, but just so you know, it's not a part of Jacksonville, but it's right next to it. I could go 5 minutes down the road, and then I have Clay County. And then we'll talk about the north side, so which is going to be like this big area here. So north side, very nice area. Really, really big. This is more like logistics, warehouses, stuff like that. It's the airports over here. And again, my drawing is not going to be perfect, so I'm sorry if it's not like exactly on the same map, but in general, this is the basic concept of it. So you can add that a little bit. And then we'll talk about downtown as well. So I want to use like a thicker line for downtown because it's kind of in the middle. So you have like downtown in this area. So downtown is really nice, historic, walkable. Fun fact that natives used to use like this area here to kind of cross with like goods and stuff like that. And so it's really like close together compared to the rest of the river, which is around 310 miles long. So the natives used to use that to cross. So also another fun fact is that Jacksonville is named after Andrew Jackson. So Jacksonville, Andrew Jackson, Jacksonville. I don't know why I know that. I just know that. Arlington, here, they're going to break this down in a couple of different places. Most people will say you have like East Jacksonville, but I'm just going to go with Arlington here. And then we're going to go with Southside. So we'll go with this. We'll go with the south side here, just this kind of area. And then you have like St. John's Town Center right here in this area, which is really nice. It's essentially the hub of the city. You have tons of restaurants, tons of stores, Gucci, Apple, Tesla, stuff like that, Express, which is where I got this suit from. And then you're going to have the beaches. So we'll go here with the beaches. Yep, right here. The beaches are really nice. Obviously, we have a ton of beach and just coastline. So if you enjoy going to the beach, stuff like that, you know, consider that when you come here. That is one of my bigger mistakes when moving to Jacksonville is that I only traveled in Orange Park, really, when I came. And I'll explain to you what I mean when I say that is I came in from Georgia. So I moved here from Georgia. I came in on 10. I traveled, I think, like right here in this area. This is all I had been to when I first bought a house in Jacksonville. Nobody told me, you know, like the rest of the city was a thing. So I had no clue at all. So one of my like biggest piece of advice for coming to Jacksonville is to go see the whole city. So like I said, I bought a house here and I was going to school full time over here about 3 months after I moved here. So I was going to school like over here in this area. Let's see if I can make that a little bit bigger. Sorry. Yeah, over here, like in this area. And so I was driving all the way over here. And it was taking me about 45 minutes to 55 minutes, maybe close to an hour each way. So I was losing about 2 hours of my day. Also, there's two Barnes and Nobles here in Jacksonville. If you're a book person like me, as you can see behind me, I love books. And so they're going to be like in this area. And then there's going to be another one down here. And that is like one of the biggest mistakes of moving to Jacksonville for me is that I am so far from Barnes and Nobles. But we do have a Books A Million over here in the Orange Park area, which is really nice. But Barnes and Nobles and Books A Million are two completely different stores. So that's one of my biggest pieces of regret. And so we'll also talk a little bit about Nassau County. I pronounced that wrong. I'm so sorry. But that's going to be more up here, like above Jacksonville a little bit. And then St. John's, which is going to be down here a little bit below Southside. Also, I wanted to say that the Southside is going to be referred to as like Julieton Creek Mandarin area as well. So you're going to have like Mandarin in this area. And then as you can see here, Julieton Creek. And I kind of drew over that, but that's fine. Okay, cool. We'll move on to the next subject. And I hope this all makes sense because I want to just give you something to visualize in your head while we talk about it. Before we move on to the next subject, I did want to just talk about the highways really quickly, or interstate. That way you kind of have an understanding of how Jacksonville is like traveled upon. So we'll go here. So here you'll have 95, which just kind of goes north to south. You have 295, which just does a huge loop of the city essentially. And then you have 10, which just comes in from the west. So like, oh, sorry. You have 10, which comes in from the west. So you have like Tallahassee, but also Georgia, like I said earlier, stuff like that. And it's just such a massive, massive city. We have 7 bridges here that cross the St. John's River, or yeah, St. John's River, excuse me, to help you get places. But just so you're aware, there is a lot of traffic on these bridges sometimes. So if you don't come and you don't really experience it, and you also are not a fan of bridges, then I would definitely plan accordingly, where you want to live and where you work and stuff like that. But Jacksonville is just massive. It's huge. Like I said, I live in this area over here, as I said earlier. And so for me to get over here, it's going to be about an hour. So it's just a massive, massive city. There's like over 1 million people living here currently, with 100 people moving here every single day on average. So consider that when you're coming here, where you want to live. If you want to live close to the beaches and such. Another piece of advice from me personally, from a mistake that I made. The next topic is going to be something I get a lot of questions about. It's going to be hurricane and weather. I have been lucky enough to not experience a hurricane here in Jacksonville. All the hurricanes that have gone and come have all gotten here as a tropical storm because we are so far inland. So typically when we have a hurricane, I just kind of invite friends over. We play some board games, watching movies and stuff like that. But with that being said, I am also prepared for a hurricane. I have chargers, portable flashlights, rations, medicine, medication, and to the same thing. I don't know why I said that, but a medical kit, I meant to say. And just a plan to get out of the city for me and my dog and my wife and my family, but my dog most importantly. So definitely have a plan if you're thinking about coming to Jacksonville. There was one in the 60s, 1960s, I believe. So it can happen, but be prepared. I just haven't experienced it myself. I will say the weather is very nice here. During the winter time, like right now in January, we get some cool weather. So I think a couple days ago it was like 37, 42 degrees ish, somewhere around there. I forget the exact temperature, but it was pretty cold outside. But I will say during the summer, it does get extremely warm. It can get up to, the hundreds and kind of average out around there. But there's also every single day, there's going to be pretty much a thunderstorm, which is kind of funny. I don't know why. It just kind of like sometimes during noon, you go outside and it's going to thunder in a storm every single day. So it's like clockwork. So if you're going to go to the beach during those times or during those days, make sure you go either early in the morning or in the afternoon after the storm, because otherwise you're going to be getting rained upon unless you have like a tent or something like that. The next topic that I do get asked a lot is going to be about cost of living here in Jacksonville. So if you don't know, we don't have any state income tax. We're also about 8 to 12% lower than the national average. It just kind of depends where you get the information from. I'm going to put a bunch of articles in the description below that kind of helps me support everything that I talk about. That way you can do your own research as well. Like I said, 8% below. Our utilities are anywhere from like 10 to 15%, they say. And I will tell you this, a real life example is that I have a 4-bedroom house, 2.5 baths, 2,500 square feet, 2 stories. And my utility bill is around 250 to 260, maybe 270 a month on average. And that's including water as well. So electricity and water. I keep my house on 69 to 70 degrees. So I think that's pretty good compared to other places that I've lived in America. So Tennessee, Texas, Oklahoma, Wyoming, Georgia, Mississippi as well, and Missouri. I do think that it is fairly fair here. I do see a lot of people complaining about it, although we only pay 15 kilowatt cents an hour. For some reason, on average, we do have a higher utility bill, so people are just using a lot of electricity. So I don't know if they have their AC just amped up. But we do see a little bit of a higher utility bill here in Jacksonville. So we have a lower charge for the utility, but the normal average is going to be 20 cents per kilowatt hour, a national average, where we only have the 15. So either we are using more or something's going wrong with the meter. So pay about 89 cents for Wi-Fi, or I'm sorry, $89 for Wi-Fi. And I get 1 gigabyte. I get amazing Wi-Fi and internet here. I will say the car insurance is a little bit more expensive here. We are more expensive than the national average. And I will tell you why. About 30 to 40% of drivers here in Jacksonville either do not carry insurance at all or don't have enough insurance to cover if they got in a wreck. So that's a bit of an issue. I will not lie about that. Homeowners insurance is going to be a little bit more expensive as well. Obviously, we are by water. Like I said earlier, I haven't had an experience with hurricane, but we've had them before. Also, storms and stuff like that do take a toll on your home over time. So if you come to Jacksonville, expect for that to be a player in your monthly bills, right? Although we don't have any state income tax and you're going to live cheaper, your dollar's going to stretch extremely far, so you're going to have more money. You might have to balance it out with insurance of your car, vehicle, or insurance of your home. Now, you do have to have a car in most parts of Jacksonville, especially like downtown area. which kind of sucks. But Jacksonville, so far, there's so much stuff to do, but you live in your own kind of community. So, for example, I live here in Oakleaf, and there's a Target, Ulta, Publix, Walmart. Pretty much anything I could ask for is right here. Doctor's offices, pizza stores, pizza shops, if you will. And they're all within my community, so I could walk to those. But if I want to go to St. John's Town Center or Barnes and Nobles or Books a Million, I need to have a car. Don't rely on public transportation. Do not rely on that. Do not rely on that. They are fixing things. They're putting a lot of money into Jacksonville. They're putting over $8 billion into Jacksonville. They've already started like putting up new parks, stuff like that for children and just families in general. So they are trying to fix a lot of stuff. So I will give them credit for that, but it is not as amazing as it is now. If you don't know Jacksonville, we have tons of trails, tons of parks to go to, stuff like that. So there's always something to do here in Jacksonville. And if you follow me on Instagram, I put out a lot of stuff to do, some fun stuff, some fun things to do on the weekends, stuff like that. I try to do one every week. That way families have a good time and go out. Anyways, we'll move on to the next subject. I've kind of ranted a little bit, but that's just something to be forewarned. The next subject is going to be about the housing market, and I'll make it quick. So pretty much our house price on average is going to be around $387,000. We have about 7,000 homes on the market, so a lot of houses to choose from, and it is turning into more of a buyer's market. I will say that beforehand, pretty much sellers were getting everything they wanted. Buyers were like, okay, cool, we don't even want to do an inspection. We just want to get the house. I will say recently I had a transaction where they lowered the price. They also repaired everything. They gave sellers credits as well. They repaired, 8 out of 9 items, and then they gave sellers credit. So they came down like 10K on the price, repaired all the items except for one, and then they were willing to give sellers credit, so up to 4% of the sell price on sellers credits, which is amazing. So if you're thinking about coming to buy a home in Jacksonville, now's a good time. Like I said earlier about the homeowners insurance, because I like to be straight with people. I don't want you to feel like I've conned you at all. It's just to be prepared for that. I will say, like I said earlier, I have a 4-bedroom, 2.5 baths, 2 stories, and 2,500 square feet. I pay about $120 a month, but my house is also newer. So there's a lot of things that go into that. If you're buying an older house, obviously your house insurance is going to be more expensive. But with that being said, we'll jump on to the next one. The next subject is going to be the economic and job opportunities here in Jacksonville. So we did have about a 4.3 unemployment rate here in September in Jacksonville. So it did go up a little bit, but there are a lot of good companies out here. I will say that we do have strong healthcare, finance, insurance, and IT fields here in Jacksonville. Also military, because the military bases are here. We have quite a few. We'll talk about that later. But we're expected to add more and more jobs every single year as more and more people come here, especially if you want to start a business. And Jacksonville is a great place to start a business. There are over 1 million people here. So we have the Port of Jacksonville, which is responsible for over 28,000 jobs. It has over 200K jobs in the state of Florida. So there's a lot of opportunity to work if you want to go work at the port, and they make really good money. We also have a couple of Fortune 500 companies here. So we're going to have Fidelity National Finance and CSX, which is really cool. Remote work is extremely popular here because it is cheap to live here. Also, you know, it does take a little bit of a while to get on the other side of the city. So I have noticed a lot of people work from home here just so they don't have to make that drive. And also, it's just super cheap. Like I said, you have cheap bills, cheap utilities, and a cheap cost of living, and no state income tax, which is amazing. I can't stress that enough. So yeah, Jacksonville is like number 3 on the bigger cities list of hottest cities in the country to move to and start a business in. So like I said earlier, if you're trying to start a business, whatever it may be, I don't know, Jacksonville is a great area to do it. So we'll jump on to the next subject, which everyone is going to probably think, okay, cool. He's going to give us a cop-out answer for this, but we'll talk about the lifestyle of Jacksonville. And I will be honest, I'm going to give you a cop-out answer. Jacksonville really does have pretty much everything that you want. If you want to have like the downtown feel, where you can walk around, go to shops, restaurants, stuff like that, in a river walk type scenario, then you have that here. If you want to live more of a rural area, you have that here. If you want to go to Clay County, which is, you know, just really nice, more rural, I guess, is super nice area. If you want to live in a nice little comfortable community, you have places like Oakleaf, which are growing a lot. And we're a very nice, like, knit community. We have tons of stuff here, tons of stores. If you want to go to St. John's, they have a really nice community there as well. The South Side has great community. There are tons of good places in Jacksonville to have all of these feels. If you want to live more of a suburban lifestyle, if you want to live on the beaches, whatever it is, there's a little bit for everyone here. So I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, but that is the truth behind the answer. And we'll move on to the next subject because I don't want to waste too much time. The next subject we're going to talk about is going to be schools. I used to be a teacher, so I definitely have an appreciation for good schools and wanting your kids to go to good schools. So these rankings are going to come from niche.com. So definitely go check that out in the description below. I'll put a link so you can go to the website and study a little bit more. But first, we're going to have St. John's County. Everyone knows St. John's County. The families are very involved here. The parents are very involved with their children's education, which makes a lot of a difference. And then we're going to have Clay County schools. Clay County is where I used to teach as well when I got out of the military. Super nice, super good parents, and super good teachers as well. That is something I really enjoyed, was that the fact that the teachers taught the kids with dignity and respect. They just treated them nicely. And then we're going to have Nassau County. I've never been in Nassau County, so I can't give you any personal experience with that. But they are ranked as really good schools. People say all the time that they're very good schools. They have very good communities. They have very good parks and locations for kids to hang out with. And it's very safe there. And I will say, last on the list from niche.com is going to be Duval. Duval has a lot of good schools, and it also has a lot of schools that need improvement. I will say that. They're trying very hard here in Jacksonville to improve schools. Like I said earlier in the video, they're putting a lot of money into Jacksonville, but they could always do better. I will say that the school system is working very hard, but not the best school system. St. John's, Clay, and Nassau are definitely a lot better, and ranked a lot better as well from niche.com. So definitely check out your own personal experience on that one. Do your own research, because I don't want to lead you in a misdirection. But I will say these are the rankings from niche.com. And I'll move on to the next subject. The next subject we'll talk about is going to be another list from niche.com. It's going to be best places to live in Jacksonville. So we'll start with Nocatee. Nocatee is very nice. It's towards St. Augustine, the south side area. They have a lot of things for kids to do. They have a lot of parks, a lot of pools, stuff like that, where you can just go hang out, cool amenities. Very nice schools, very nice area. It is very, very nice there, and it's closer to St. John's Town Center, so there's a lot of stuff for you to do, and if you want to drive a little bit and go do some more things, and it's also close to the beaches, so it is very nice over there. I do recommend living in Nocatee if you have a family. We also have Fleming Island, which is going to be in Clay County, so that's a little bit south of where I live in Oakleaf, so this is why I said earlier to remember Middleburg, Clay County, Fleming Island, Green Cove Springs, stuff like that. Fleming Island is very nice. I will say that I do enjoy going to Fleming Island. They have tons of good restaurants. They have a restaurant called V Pizza. It's super good if you like pizza. I love pizza. That's probably an issue, but I love pizza. Anyways, like I said, Fleming Island has really good schools, really nice for families, really, and then we're gonna have Palm Valley. Palm Valley is very nice as well. It seems to be like a lot of retirees go here, but they have very nice schools, very nice family, pretty much everything that I've said so far. Good amenities, nice little parks for kids to go hang out, and a very safe area is the most important. And then we have Deer Creek. So Deer Creek has nice schools. They have nice housing, diversity, and it's just a nice area in general, very safe. I will say the schools are ranked at a B plus on niche.com. So not as good as the other ones, but still very. The next subject is something that I really wish I would have known when I came to Jacksonville. So we're going to talk a little bit about gyms, movie theaters, and things to do. Like I said earlier, on my Instagram, I try to put out, a little bit of stuff that you can do on the weekends with the family, like once a week. But we have about 16 Bailey's/Choose Fitness here in Jacksonville, which are really nice gyms. So there's about 16 of them. So you have a gym pretty much anywhere you want to go. I have 12 Planet Fitnesses. There's a little bit more than that, they say, but I can only find 12 on the map personally. We have one Books A Million, like I said earlier, that's going to be in Orange Park. We have two Barnes and Nobles, so they're going to be over like towards the south side of the city. So we have one in the Julian Creek Mandarin area, and then we also have one in St. John's Town Center. And then we have the Avenues Mall. We have the Orange Park Mall. And so these are all fun things to do, things you can go out and see. The Avenues is really nice. The Orange Park Mall is nice, but not as nice as the Avenues. Like I said earlier, St. John's Town Center is going to be more of the hub. They have pretty much everything there, tons of restaurants. It's really nice. They have the Barnes & Nobles there, of course. Sorry, I'm a book guy. I don't know why I keep bringing it up. But just so you're aware, that's where Barnes & Nobles is. So I'll see you there, hopefully. But yeah, St. John's Town Center is very nice. Dick's Sporting Goods is over there. So this is kind of where people go if they want to hang out and frolic and just go on a date. Maybe, just kind of want to hang out and have a walkable day with their significant others. Tons of stuff to do over there, tons of shopping. So we'll move on to the next one. So the next subject is going to be the military and veteran presence. So we have over 77,000 veterans here in Jacksonville, which is amazing. Being one of those veterans, I feel extremely proud to be here. I get a lot of compliments and a lot of thank yous for your service. Not that I need it, but it's just really nice to know that people appreciate what you've done. And so that's really cool. We also have 6 military bases here. So we have NAS Jacks, Mayport, Corps Blunt Island, the Marine Corps of Blunt Island, Florida National Guard units, and we also have Camp Blanding, and then Kings Bay Submarines Base. So we have a lot of military people here, and they're all kind of spread out throughout Jacksonville. So depending on where you get stationed, if you're in the military, you want to base it off where you live. We also have 4 VA clinics, and I am including the one that is in Middleburg, and I will say the VA here is very nice. We also have a VA hospital down in Gainesville, which is about 40 to 50 minutes south of us. So if you have anything that, they can't do with these clinics, you can do it at a rural hospital, where if you need to have a surgery or something like that, you can go down there. It's very nice down there. I've been down there one time. Gainesville's hospital, VA hospital, is very, very nice. And then we'll go on to sports teams. So If you don't know, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, they just went to the playoffs this year. Unfortunately, they lost. I'm not a Jaguars fan myself. I am from Oklahoma, so I don't really have a sports team. So I just kind of go wherever. We also have the jumbo shrimp baseball, which is really cool. We have the ice hockey, or I'm sorry, Icemen, ice hockey. So that's really cool if you're into hockey. They have a hockey team here. They have indoor football teams, the Sharks here. And then they also have a rugby team called the Axemen here, which is really cool. I've never seen a city with a rugby team until I moved to Jacksonville. And then our final subject is just going to be some advice for me when moving to Jacksonville. First off, go see the whole city. Determine where you want to live, where you want your kids to go to school. They do have controlled open enrollment here in Florida, which is where basically if the school meets the criteria and your family meets the criteria, your children can go to any school they want as long as you drive them there or you provide some sort of transportation. We do have a lot of people trying to go to St. Johns County, so if that's something you need to be quick on it. I will say though, prepare for your car auto insurance to go up, your homeowner's insurance to go up, and then go to the beaches and see if you want to live by the beaches. I don't like living by the beaches, so Oak Leaf School with me. My wife loves living by the beaches, so it's kind of a toss up for us, even though the wife usually wins 99.9999% of the time. And then go to the bridges as well. A lot of people are scared of the bridges that I've noticed, so definitely check the bridges out. But again, my name is Travis Kopf. I offer a free relocation guide in my resume down below. If you're moving to Jacksonville, I would love to help you. I'll put my number somewhere on the screen. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm sorry if I rambled, and I hope I provided you with some good education and knowledge here about Jacksonville. It is a great city. I definitely recommend it for people. I have a good time here. I can't complain. It is better than a lot of cities. I come from a very, very small town in Oklahoma with like 30 kids in my class, and so a very small town. So I love Jacksonville, and there's a lot of negatives and positives. If you have a negative or a positive that you would like for people to know, drop it in the comments below. Have a great day. Thank you so much.